The Yellow Wallpaper. As I read The Yellow Wallpaper, I knew that this was a story I wanted to research. This story is about a woman who is being held back by her leading male husband. Charlotte believes that she is sick and that there is actually something wrong with her, while her husband, also a doctor, believes that she is simply just depressed. Instead of sticking up for herself and finding help elsewhere, she does what he asks of her and takes the medication that he prescribes. Throughout this story, Charlotte ends up going into a deep madness, staying in a room that is covered with yellow wallpaper. After doing a little bit of research, I discovered that this story is in fact a journal entry written around 1890. I was sick to my stomach throughout the entire entry, thinking about this poor woman and how she is suffering with her husband, and while he thinks that he is actually helping her, I cannot imagine being in a world where I felt so helpless and scared. A big role of this story is gender inequality. The husband has complete control over Charlotte, and there's nothing she can do about it. During this time in the world, gender inequality was very common. You very rarely saw a female as the head of the household, and men were basically always in charge of everything. Women were to obey and do what the men asked, and to please them. I plan on digging deeper into the inequality of roles in late households and learn more of how women were expected to act. In John S. Back's article, Escaping the Jaundiced Eye, in Charlotte Perkins Gilman's The Yellow Wallpaper, he describes the room that Charlotte is kept in as being a prison. Charlotte is clearly mentally ill, but is being poorly taken care of. She was locked away in a room for a whole month where she was unable to basically do anything all day long. Being locked away in an ugly room where you are just expected to sit there and do nothing is something that I cannot even imagine being a part of. I will definitely be diving more into the roles of mental health and how patients were taken care of in those days. In Conrad Shoemaker's article, Too Terribly Good to be Printed, he talks about how the husband clearly wants complete control over his wife, but he also has other reasons for doing the things that he does. John had forbidden Charlotte to write or paint, taking away another pleasure from her once again. Shoemaker also talks about how John, being a doctor, makes him want to go off of the facts that he thinks he knows. His wife is showing symptoms of nervousness and weight loss, and he knows that with those symptoms, the treatments include being undisturbed and well nutrition. Shoemaker's article is the one that really intrigued me, and the one that I believe I will mostly go off of. The narrator talks about when they asked John to change the wallpaper, he replied by saying no, because doing so would be dangerous and cause a nervous breakdown. He then says that they will go down into the basement and whitewash all the walls, if need be. This is him completely ignoring the initial request and not reviewing what the request was all about. John is very close-minded and doesn't take advice from anyone or any other outsiders. He believes what he is doing is right and there is nothing that can be done. In this paper, I will be focusing on gender inequality, mental illness, and how poorly patients were treated back then, and why John does what he does. The most intriguing to me is why John, in fact, does what he does. So I'm thinking that I will be putting my main focus on that, with talking about the treatment of mental illness and how serious of an issue it was back in those days. I look forward to learning more and more about it.